a stick at. This actor meant a lot of things to a lot of people, particularly recently in today's climate, today's crazy world. So I just wanted to talk today about Chadwick Boseman's incredible legacy as an actor. Short legacy, shockingly short, yet very memorable legacy. So might take on a little bit of a somber tone today, but it's for good reason, because I'm going to tell you the story about how when I went to go see Black Panther and what that meant to me. First, I'm going to fix my camera angle. It's a bit askew, like, none other than this very host. Welcome, everybody. Welcome on all the platforms. This is Aristotle Full Throttle. We talk about movies 5 days a week. Hey, 13, how are you on Instagram? On Instagram, I have a fundraiser going on, guys. On Instagram, you can go to Instagram, Aristotle Full Throttle, for the colon cancer prevention project. You can donate to that organization and help raise awareness for colorectal cancers and stuff like that for people who we lose too soon, like Chadwick Boseman. I used to always make fun of us. Sorry, I'm like pinned. My voice is so loud right now. Sorry about that, guys. I used to make fun of Chadwick Boseman's name because I couldn't say it. I used to say Chadwick, Chapstick Bose. The guy was in everything. He was in the movie 42. He played so many real life characters, including Black Panther. Don't tell me Black Panther ain't real. Wakanda forever, everybody. Wakanda forever. But yeah, he played so many real life characters that it was kind of impressive, his career. It was a very long, short career. And it was really, we were all blindsided the other day when we heard about this. I don't think many people really knew what was going on. He kept it a secret. Now, if you think about that, this dude kept it a secret for 4 years at least, and was able to make so many legendary movies in that time span, which was really kind of remarkable. If you think that now when I go back to look at those movies, I'm just going to see his middle distance stare in a different way. If you know what I mean, like he was always very, I will tell my father about this, or whatever. But he was, that middle distance stare, it's crazy to think about. We're going to go back and watch these movies and know that he knew about his diagnosis and that what might happen. But he also knew how important the characters that he was bringing to life were to so many people. Hey, Angie. Hey, Tatiana. What's up, Ismael? I'm just talking about Chadwick Boseman today because, we lost a guy. I made a joke recently how we shouldn't have so many Chadwick Boseman movies. He's in everything. But he was in everything because he was so good. He could actually do the job. He was like the go-to guy to play a real-life Black American. Like, he played Jackie Robinson. He played Thurgood Marshall. He played James Brown, even. What's up, Renegades of Funk? Today we're talking about Chadwick Boseman. If you guys want to donate to the colon cancer prevention project, I have that set up on Instagram. We lose too many people to cancer. Cancer is a scourge upon humankind. It's just, you don't know when that's going to come. You don't know when it's going to happen. And Chadwick being treated and suffering from cancer for 4 years, giving us Black Panther, giving us all these different roles, is kind of unbelievable. His dedication to the work, to the craft, his dedication to play characters and represent characters in American history in a memorable way, in a way that he was kind of paying it forward. He was carrying over these stories. Remember, movies are stories. Everything's a story. I know that sounds silly. when you say movies and stories. You're like, yeah, I know, I want to watch my stories. Movies are stories. Everything's a story. A sentence is a story. I went to the store, I bought milk so that I could make French toast. That's a story. I also had day-old bread already. I just needed the milk. I had eggs and bread, and I was like, maybe just a little bit of milk would make this taste better. See, it just turned, the story went wild. That was the sequel. The sequel was pancakes the next day. The sequel was I had all this French toast left over, so I made a French toast casserole. But you know what I'm saying. Everything is a story, guys. And it's important that humans share their stories with subsequent generations. That's all we do as a people. We're a storytelling animal. That's why we know about history. History is the most important thing for humans for the sake of the future of humankind. I'm getting to the point. You'll get this. And the fact that our brains work in that way is why we like music. What's a song? A song is a story. We don't know a melody by the individual notes. We only know a melody by that notes. I'm losing words. I'm gonna take a minute. I'm gonna have to take a minute for this moment of silence. Sorry. I feel like Joe Biden right now. I gotta wake up. By that notes, we only know a melody by the way that note relates to the rest of the notes. You see what I'm saying? So history, the long line of history, we only know ourselves by our history. Chadwick Boseman, I can't even say his name. I still can't say his name. Chapman Stick, Barry Bostwick Boseman. That's no disrespect to Chadwick Boseman. I'm just playing on the words that I cannot pronounce. I'm making fun of myself. He understood that these stories were important for future generations. This is the point I'm trying to make. We know a melody by its orientation, each note, and how it relates to the other notes. He was a note relating to history and the future, linking, being an important moment, knowing that Black Panther is, okay, it's a comic book character, guys, but it means so much to so many people. I watched an interview with him recently, and he was talking about how bringing Black Panther to the big screen, he wasn't sure if it was an important thing. He wasn't sure if this was an important role. He's like, what does this give back to the world? Why is this so important? And he would talk to kids, and particularly he was talking to two of these kids who were dying from cancer, and he knew they were terminal, and these kids knew they were dying. And he said that these kids were trying to hold on until the movie Black Panther was finished so that they could go see it. They was like little kids. And he was so struck by that because he knew he had cancer at that time. And he knew he was going to create this character for the big screen for young kids to watch. And he was like, how? And he said he would remember when he was a little kid. He would go back into his mind when he was like waiting for a video game to come out, or waiting for a movie to come out, or waiting for a comic book to come out. His life did revolve around that. It was an important event for Christmas to arrive and for him to get the toys that he wanted. And he was saying, yeah, Black Panther does mean something to kids. This is a really important thing for kids to look forward to. And he knew that he was going to bring that to some other generation of kids, that something that he experienced as a kid, so that he could be important. That he could bring something that was significant to these kids' lives. And I think that is commendable and important to remember. I think think I rambled enough right now. But you guys see what I'm saying. Everything is a story. It's the most important thing that our own lives, our own memory of our life is just a story that we told ourselves. And we're trying to hold on to this narrative of a story. If you think about the movie Total Recall, it's pretty great because in the movie, you know, Arnold doesn't know, we don't know as an audience, whether or not Arnold's really lived those memories of the life that he gets implanted. He gets memories implanted in his brain. So for all intents and purposes, he is that person now. So you can change the person you are by changing the narrative you tell yourself, by changing the story that we repeat in our head about ourselves and what we can do and what we're capable of. We can change that. Like for instance, me, I can float on water. I didn't say in the air. I could float on water, guys. Everybody could float on water. I can shoot laser beams from my eyes. I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying, Klobuchar. You know what I'm saying. There's people that, like Chadwick Boseman, and, you know, you might think, again, people might dismiss it out of hand. Oh, he's an actor. He played a comic book character. He played a lot of these historical figures at Hollywood. And they were talking about their industry and how their industry is also in California. It's like Silicon Valley. But Silicon Valley is like, Hollywood people suck. Hollywood people suck. And I'm like, do Hollywood people, like, they were scoffing at the industry of Hollywood, making movies and TV. Meanwhile, with the same person, I talk about Game of Thrones. I talk about all types of movies. And I'm like, those are Hollywood movies. You watch them. You talk about them all day. Hollywood also takes advantage of all of the latest technology that Silicon Valley provides. Silicon Valley makes a decent amount of money, probably, developing new technologies for Hollywood and filmmaking. Everybody in culture talks about the latest pop culture. Everybody. It is what is called culture. It is a huge component of culture. What we define each generation by are the politics, the scientific advancements, and the popular culture, the art of the time. When we look back, we look at the style. We laugh at the style that people were wearing. I always say, hey, I'm from the future. I'm here to warn you about your terrible haircut. Because we look back in time and everybody thinks that, oh, my hair was so on point when I was a kid. No, it wasn't. Your hair was as bad as mine is today when you were in fifth grade. Angie's hair defies gravity. But what I'm saying is, what defines us distinctly in every generation and what we look back on are those movies and the art and you know, landing on the moon. We look at the 60s. We look at, what do we look at? The 60s. Hey, Rockbutter, I noticed you have purple sunglasses on? Yes. I am the classic rock biter because I like Fog Hat and Steppenwolf. Yeah, man. And James Brown. Chadwick played James Brown. Yes. When we look back at the 60s, we see the classic rock biter. Guys, if you want to see some animation, high-tech animation, go to AristotleFullThrottle.com. I love-hate relationship with Hollywood. Mullets go back and fight. I'd go back in time and fight that. Yeah, mullets, you know, you never know. Mullets have always been ironic, but always, when you look back at them, always look stupid. So if you wear a mullet now, you're like, ha, 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 you can't be seriously wearing that mullet right now. But I mean, I guess if you are seriously wearing that mullet, I get your artistic statement. I respect that. Okay, cool, hipster. I get it. You're kind of going for a look right now. You got a mullet on purpose. This isn't an accident. There's a party in the back. There's business up front. I see what you're doing. Okay, respect. 5 minutes later, you go, was that guy wearing a mullet? Seriously? Mullet's half-life is about 5 minutes. At first, you're just taken aback by the sight. You say, oh my gosh, an actual mullet. Where are my shearers? This is a true story. I was in Detroit, Michigan when I was a kid watching a Pearl Jam concert. The Pearl Jams is a band from the 90s, right? You guys heard of the Pearl Jams. Eddie Vedder, Jeff Amenton, all those guys. They're on stage. They're playing the song. I remember which song it was. It was a song called, I'd play it for you, but my guitar is way over there. There was a song called Rearview Mirror. And it's like, and they play the song, you know. And then there's like this jam section in the middle, right? They're jamming. And then out of nowhere, this dude runs up on stage. And he starts touching, he's just running around the stage and he's touching the band members. And then a security guy tackles him and grabs him and then starts pulling him off stage, right? And then Eddie Vedder, or the singer, was like, hey, bring that guy back on stage. Because all he wanted to do was just come up on stage. Bring him back on stage. Now, this is an interesting moment for rock and roll history. You know? This story is great, man. Legendary. So Eddie Vedder brings the guy back on stage, and this dude has a mullet. Long mullet. You know, it's Detroit. And Eddie Vedder said something pejorative in that moment. He said, let me guess, you're Canadian. Which was just, you know, he was making fun of our friends to the north. We love the Great White North. We love Canada. Is it the People's Republic of Canada? I think so. And then Eddie Vedder in that moment was just like, why do you have a mullet? That mullet is crazy. The mullet you're wearing is why I can't handle it. And then all of a sudden a roadie comes out with scissors. A roadie. And then Eddie Vedder was like, okay. And then he grabbed the scissors and then Eddie Vedder like pulled the mic down and like talked to the guy for a second. And the guy was like, gave consent. And then Eddie Vedder's like, okay, I'm going to cut this mullet off. And he cut the mullet. Eddie Vedder cut the mullet live at a concert because a guy rushed the stage. Meanwhile, the band never missed a beat. The band just kept jamming the whole time. Wow, man, that's trippy. I like cool tunes, man. And Pearl Jam. They're groovy. Wow. I'll tell you that. That's a true story. The point of that story is, don't ever wear a mullet. I plead with you. You really want an anime mullet? All right, stroke here. Shy, I think you can pull it off. For 5 minutes. There's a 5-minute half-life. Do you know what I'm saying? Only 5 minutes you can wear a mullet. For like as a laugh, but then the joke gets old, you know? The whole point of that story is that, look, guys, we define ever. You need more hair on Instagram? There you go. We define every generation by the art. And Chadwick Boseman gave us a lot of frickin' art to enjoy. A lot of entertainment. And the scoffing Silicon Valley types be damned. You guys watch movies too. You guys watch Game of Thrones. You guys watch TV and film. You guys, are you not entertained? There's an entire industry of people who want to entertain you. Because it's in their blood to entertain. That's why I always give money to people on the street who are playing music. Because there was a time back in the day, if you wanted to hear music, unless you built a music box, unless you built some kind of automated music machine, over 100 years ago, the only way that you would ever have live music for anything would be from an actual live band. So think about the proportion of actual musicians that actually live in society versus the proportion of those musicians who actually get to thrive as musicians. Very small. There are people on the street playing guitar. If you see someone playing guitar on the street and they're really good and they could sing and they could do all the things, they could play all the notes, you know, give them money, because that's literally, their job. That's their job. People are like, you should get a job with the guitar on the street. Why you play the guitar on the street? Because that's what they do. That's their job. They're a musician. They are a muse. People would always have musicians around playing. Artists and, like, you know, people who had money would always have artists hanging around. Because there's a symbiotic relationship there. People who are like rich, they're like, I would like something to look pretty in front of me. Who can do that? An artist. I would like to hear pretty sounds inside my ears. Who can do that? Musicians. So we need our artists. We need our musicians. We need people like Chadwick Boseman who can represent, who's an actor, who could tell us stories through his work and who can remind us of who we are as a people. I do want to tell you my story about seeing the Black Panther movie in Hollywood. It was one of the coolest movie-going experiences of my life, and I'll never forget it. Let's see. Yeah, gets the rock biters and all the different characters too, which entertains the heck out of me. I don't know what it does for anyone else, but I'm having a good time. Oh, you cried all day on Saturday, Shy? Yeah, you know, it keeps coming in waves for me. I honestly was super numb when I heard it. I was like, no. Chadwick Boseman? No. I was done. And then it comes in waves where you're like, God damn, why is 2020 such a freaking terrible year? Why are we losing people like Chadwick Boseman, who means so much, particularly for black people in America? Like, portraying Black Panther, portraying Thurgood Marshall, portraying Jackie Robinson, portraying James Brown. These are all like significant moments for black history that Chadwick Boseman was able to bring to the screen and pay tribute to in his own way, and also become an indelible mark in Hollywood history. This guy will never be forgotten now. That every time I look at his movies, I'm going to say, this guy fought for 4 years while going through this, never mentioning once that he had likely terminal illness. Just did the work, showed up, and suddenly he's gone. Suddenly evaporates, this guy. That's the way it can happen. 2020 does need to stop. Can't we just get it over with? We just need to get this year over with. We can do it, guys. Hello, everybody. This is the Carl Weathers Report. I'd like to say Chadwick Boseman was an excellent actor. I think he could have played Creed, if you ask me. He could have played me playing Creed. He should have been in the biography for Carl Weathers. I would have given him my blessing. Action Jackson Jr. I would have signed on to that and played his grandfather. I'm like 80 years old, but I still look like this. It's kind of remarkable, isn't it? 92 degrees, clear skies, possible chance of showers in the afternoon. This has been the Weathers Report. When I went to see Black Panther, I walked there. It's at the ArcLight Dome in Hollywood. You might remember the ArcLight Dome was featured in the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood when they drove past the front of the ArcLight Cinerama Dome. I was actually in the Cinerama Dome watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I was like looking at the screen, watching them drive by the front of the building, which was like, I don't know, a couple hundred feet that way behind us. So I'm like, watch. It was weird. It was like the scene in Spaceballs when they're like, when will this be now? Soon. That's what it felt like when I was watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood inside the Cinerama Dome, watching the outside of the Cinerama Dome. I walked to go see Black Panther there, 2 miles up the street, and I was like, I'm going to go see Black Panther. At, I think it was like 10:15 or 11 o'clock on the Thursday night before the Friday that it comes out, because that's how I do. And when I'm arriving, one of the funniest things I noticed were all of the cop cars in the intersections with their lights on. Now, if you guys remember earlier this 2020, there's been the spark of a social unrest that is lasting currently. We are still living through this new explosion of social unrest. Black Lives Matter. It's a statement. It's a true statement. And it's also what we're experiencing. And a lot of Americans are forced to reckon with that fact. They're like, wait, what? Black Lives Matter? What? There's so many people right now clutching their pearls. And which is funny, because when people come back with all lives matter, you should say, yeah, so let's go protest together, friend. I saw a funny TikTok about this. This guy was like, well, whenever someone says all lives matter, you should just agree with them and then say, okay, let's go protest the Black Lives Matter then, and see what they say. Clearly they are trying to spread an agenda that they're like, wait, I don't want to say that Black Lives Matter. I want to say all lives matter, because I still want to live in the world that I was living in my head, where I could just ignore the things that are going on for black people in America. I could just ignore that and pretend that everything's fine. All lives matter, because I just want to live in a bubble where I can pretend that nothing bad is happening to anyone else. That's what people are living through in their mind, I imagine. And which is crazy, because I think a lot of times when people say, oh, I don't see color. No, man, I don't see color. When I hear that as a person of color, when someone says, I don't see color, I hear that, I feel like they're telling me, they're saying this. This is the parenthetical of when someone says, I don't see color. They're really saying, can't we just all be white? I would like for everyone just to be white, okay? Because I don't see color. I would like for everything to be the way I want it to be. Where I feel most comfortable. Everything white all the time. Okay? I don't see color. Just be white, please. This is like how I hear it as a person of color. Because there are colors. There's many colors. And we should really acknowledge the fact that there are many colors. And that go, hey, you're a different color. Yeah, let's all be different colors. You know, let's all be different colors and together. You know, you could still do it. This is like, it's an amazing idea. What's the alternative, people? What's the alternative, people? Offer me up the alternative if you want people to not be together. Tell me. Would you like a separate place? You'd like a separate America for brown people, a separate America for black people, a separate America for Asian Americans, a separate America. What are the logistics of that? Just the logistics alone are blowing my mind. Why don't you just accept reality and live in it in harmony? Because you can. When they're dog whistling at the RNC last week, when they're dog whistling saying, I don't feel safe. We'll make your neighborhoods safe. We'll make your schools safe. What they're saying is, we're going to get the black people out your town. We're going to make sure black people can't move into your town. That's what they're saying. We know that Americans are scared. Real Americans, white people, That's what they're saying. The RNC is dog whistling. Real Americans are scared of crime. And they're like dog whistling because in a lot of people's minds in America, crime is done by brown and black people. So we don't want to be around them. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it is crazy. So when I was walking to the Cinerama Dome to go see Black Panther in Hollywood, there were police cars in every intersection surrounding the block. One on Vine in Hollywood, or Vine and Sunset, one on Vine and Fountain, all around or whatever. So you're like walking around going, why are there police cars in the middle of the intersection with their lights on with cops directing traffic? Why? Because there's a black movie happening. There's a movie for the first time in American history, in cinematic history, a $200 million movie. A $200 movie, that happened many times. Have you seen Dolomite? So there's a $200 million movie with all black people in it, mainly. And Andy Serkis and Bilbo Baggins. With Gollum and Bilbo Baggins. There's a $200 million movie, all black cast, first time ever in the history of cinema. Crazy, right? You know why they never wanted to do that before? Because Hollywood's the $200 million movie with black people primarily as the cast ever in the history of cinema. So why would we start now? That's basically Hollywood. The executives. Yeah, oh yeah, my name is Dolomite. That was fun. I'm talking about like the 70s Dolomite though, Klobuchar. Yeah, I was joking about blaxploitation films of the 70s being low budget but also exploitative. That's a whole other episode. But Hollywood is like this. We can't spend money on black people. Look at Disney. Disney hires and fires over and over again. They had all these Star Wars movies they were going to make. They kept hiring and firing only white dudes as directors for the Star Wars movies. Only ever. All of the Star Wars movies you've been watching, white dudes. Taika Waititi is getting to direct a Star Wars movie because they're like, oh man, he is half brown. We're gonna make it look good for us right now. Disney, I don't know. Good and bad. Disney has their shows on ABC, which are like trying to push forward like social awareness and stuff like that, like Blackish and all that stuff. But, you know, Disney. Hollywood does not want to spend money on black people. This has been shown over and over again. The fact that I'm going to the movies, and this is a movie with an all-black cast in Hollywood, it's the premiere. There's cop cars on every corner. So there's like this fear of the unknown. They're like, this has never happened before. Let's get the police. Let's get the police involved. Because why? Because that's the knee-jerk reaction in America. America thinks a bunch of black people are getting together to watch a movie. Better bring the cops. It's absurd. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. And I'm walking up to this movie, looking around, and all I see is brown and black faces, like mine. And I'm like, I've never been to a movie, except for one time in Detroit, where it was just all black people. I've never been to a movie like that. And I was like, this is going to be amazing. I'm walking around. There's people so excited. People wearing Black Panther masks. People wearing actual Black Panther fatigues and berets because, you know, the Black Panthers is an organization for, you know, equality in America for black people to, it's like a militant group to be like, look, black people in America need to train. You know, Malcolm X was also kind of like a precursor to this, but they were like, look, America is hostile to black people. America is a hostile body toward black people. I don't know if you guys saw that NBA coach the other day. I think it was an NBA coach, and he's a black guy, and he was talking about how people keep talking about how they're afraid in their communities about the Black Lives Matter protests and the riots, and they're afraid. And he's like, and meanwhile, black people are the ones being gunned down in the streets by the cops. It's amazing to him. It's amazing to me. Black people are the ones being gunned down, being killed, systemically dying, being allowed to die more often in the healthcare system, being gunned down by the authorities in our country. America is an oppressive, hostile body toward black Americans. So the idea of the Black Panthers is, look, we're going to train up, we're going to be strong. So if stuff goes down, we're ready. Otherwise, let's be peaceful. Let's be ready to, but don't F with us because we're ready for it. So this is like a really good thing to keep in mind. America is a hostile body toward Americans. Notice I didn't say black Americans, because why do we need to say black Americans versus this kind of American versus that kind of Americans? Can't they just be Americans? So the coach said, he said, I cannot believe that in this day and age, and just, it's very difficult right now to kind of accept the idea that this was important to me in the last election. I kind of lost my faith in this country, in the United States. It's like, it's so difficult to keep on loving this country, or it's remarkable how much we love this country and how much this country doesn't love us back. Think about that, guys. Just think about the Stockholm syndrome of that. Think about the abusive nature of that. We love a country that does not love us back. As evidenced by the current president, as evidenced by the politics, as evidenced by the system, as evidenced by cop cars in the intersections surrounding a movie. It's insane. I went to see this movie, Black Panther, at the Cinerama Dome, at the Hollywood ArcLight. And I was like, I'm witnessing history. I'm witnessing the first movie with a primarily black cast that is a superhero movie of $200 million. For Disney, for Marvel. Going, wow, we're really starting to... movie went off without a hitch. We was enjoying the movie, Wakanda Forever. It was a great movie. But I just found it remarkable that I'm going to see this movie with all the people excited to see this movie, all of the people coming out. It got all of the money. I think it was like one of the highest grossing Marvel movies. It's the highest rated Marvel movie. And people need to see, particularly the executives I was mentioning earlier, how are we going to do this? Look, you made all the money. The people came out. The movie was good. Everybody enjoyed it. So there's a proof of concept. And Chadwick Boseman got to be the guy. He was the guy, and he knew it was important to be that guy. And he knew what it meant to other people because he interacted with the people, and they were like, look, what you're doing is a first time ever thing. You represented Thurgood Marshall, the first Supreme Court justice who was black. You represented Jackie Robinson, who was the first baseball player to play in the major leagues, his first black baseball player to play in the all-white leagues. You represented so many people who were the first black Americans to do things, the first black people to do things. And you get to be the first black actor in the first major superhero Disney Marvel movie of $200 million. So Chadwick Boseman got to be that guy. He got to be, personally, a new groundbreaker by doing that. Very short career, but so many legendary roles this guy brought us. And just without any complaint, without any... Never brought the attention to himself. Always brought his attention to the people he was playing and the causes he was supporting. And guys, on Instagram, if you want to donate to the Colon Cancer Prevention Project, there is a donate button at the bottom of the Instagram screen. And that was a cool moment, guys. Black people's relationship with America, our relationship status with America it's complicated. It's true. Black and brown folks do not have a healthy relationship with America. It is very abusive and oppressive. What's up, Donnie Coulter? At it again. Don't give up. Good luck. Thanks, Donnie Coulter. I don't know if you're being encouraging or sarcastic or both, but I appreciate it. I hope Donnie Coulter keeps showing up, giving backhanded compliments. Oh, look, you're still here. Great. I mean, I'm so happy for you, man. Good job. See, Donnie Coulter, I see you. I didn't just fall off the back of a turnip truck. But I find it funny. Donnie Coulter perhaps making a backhanded compliment. I could be jumping to conclusions. I could be making that up. But I think it's funny. Check out Peter Parker Spider-Man, number 35. Yeah, that's true. It's super important. I mean, like, that's what Chadwick Boseman was saying. He's like, I'm playing a comic book character. But then when he's talking to the kids were like, this is the most important thing to me in my whole world. I'm 8. And he's like, oh, that's right. I was 8 once also. And while I was 8, I could not wait for my video games. I could not wait for my Christmas day to come out. You know, for my toys. All right, Donnie Coulter, thank you. I appreciate you clarifying that you are being genuine and supportive. And I appreciate that. But I do find it funny. There are people, not you, Donnie, but there are people who are like condescending and they're like do backhanded compliments. And you know, you guys have all experienced this, I'm sure, where someone's like, that's great. Good for you. Those are my favorite. But, you know, I enjoy it. Either way, it's still a compliment. Oh, look at you, Shy. You're still here. Great. No, I'm just kidding, Shy. It was so beautiful. I cried many times during the movie because I never grew up seeing representation. And that shit hurts. Yeah. Let's see. It wasn't about gangbangers or stereotypes. It beat all the odds. Yeah, Klobuchar, that's a good point. Black Panther was about a hero, and it was about an African society being the most advanced in the world, instead of constantly being portrayed as the most primitive, which was like, oh, well, look at that. When you make up everything, and you make up history, and you make up stories, you can literally make up anything, like how American history is just all European history. Why? They just made it up. They were just like, okay, let's remember the important things. I think the best way... Thanks, Donnie, for the good luck. I appreciate it. Good luck to you, too. I hope you're healthy and safe. When you think about... I forgot what I was saying. But, yeah, a lot of the movies do beat the odds. If anybody remembers what I was saying, I can just rewind, but... On that level, yeah, I was talking about American history being European history, and it's just, if you just try to remember history, people are going to just remember. Right now is very dangerous. The White House, Fox News, are constant propaganda machines. And what they're doing is just cranking out tons and tons and tons of misinformation, going like, let's just flood the market. Let's just flood all of the Twitter sphere, the Facebook, with just misinformation, information that's misleading, that's not true, that maybe is real or it's not. Because they want to cloud history so that when we get further and further away, it just looks like a muckety muck that we have to parse and figure out. They don't want it to be clear what's happening. And that works to the advantage of people who just don't want to be on either side. You know, you're on the wrong side of history, everybody, if you've ever tried to stop another group from wanting to have the same rights as you. You're on the wrong side of history. Always. Stop it. I'm going to try to stop that group. For instance, people picketing like against segregation in the 60s, or integration for segregation. When you see these people picketing against integration in the 60s going, whoa, what a bunch of dopes. But then you just like look outside and you see people protesting like gay marriage, and you're like, this looks familiar, doesn't it? This looks exactly the same as it did when people were saying, you can't have the same rights that I have. You can't have it. I have it, but that's okay. But if you have it, I don't like that. That's a very funny reality that we live in. People don't want to share the same toys. Yeah. Black people's really, they just thought we needed police escorts. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Angie. The police were there to protect the black folks at the premiere for Black Panther. But European history is just like, that's all we learn. We learn about Columbus being some kind of hero. The guy was an awful person. Obviously, you can't say you discovered a country. You can't just say you discovered a land that has already people on it. I've mentioned before on the show, that's like me saying I discovered Denny's. I could just walk into the Gap and stick a flag in the ground and be like, I discovered khakis. Everyone. You can't do that. That's not how it works. So Columbus can go straight to hell and not pass go, nor collect any dollars. I'll call you Cat. I'm gonna call you Cat. But you know what I'm saying, guys. Columbus was an idiot. This is what I'm saying, if you didn't know what I was saying. He said that pepper, you know, like green peppers, red peppers, they're called capsicums, guys. He called them peppers because he's like, this tastes like pepper. Now, for hundreds of years, we're going to call these peppers now. But they're not peppers. The capsicums. Pepper is like the black thing that grows on trees that you grind up to put on your egg sandwich. That's pepper. He's like, nah, this is pepper. I'm going to call this pepper. Because I'm an idiot. I'm Christopher Columbo. No, thank you. I think if you really want a clear history approach to a clear look at history, and it's kind of weird, you're going to have to just like download a cross section of the internet on any given day or any given 10-year period in the future. You're going to have to look at everything that was on Twitter, everything that was in every piece of media, and try to like sequence it and put it back together, because history is not clear. It's deliberately being falsified. It's deliberately being clouded and propagandized for your consumption, so that you can be like, sure, this is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine right now. But here, I like to bring you reality. And I like to bring you the weather. This is Carl Weathers. This is the Carl Weathers Report. I see a shitstorm in your future come November 3rd. I hope that y'all vote. Please vote. Find out where you need to vote. Go to your polling place. Mail in your ballot. Hopefully it doesn't get caught. Swept away in the high winds toward the east. Temperatures going down to 65. This has been the Weather Report. Curry was a term coined by the British to describe Indian cuisine. It's not a real thing. Curry. Interesting. Yeah, because curry is like, I'm just thinking of the yellow curry that I have on my shelf right now, which is delicious. I put it on my eggs. But it's different. It's like turmeric. And I don't know. There's like other things in there. But it's like turmeric, but with other things in there. That's what I do like my curry, but I didn't know that, Shy. Thank you for that information. Curry is not a real thing unless you want a curry favor. Chadwick Boseman left us too young, but left us with a lot to think about. He was maybe aware of what he was doing. He was maybe aware of his legacy. He has now made us aware that everything, and not that we weren't already, but things can go just like that. They can vanish, and perhaps he was suffering for a long time, for years and years and years. But to the rest of the world, we lost him suddenly, and for no good reason, because the last time we saw him as Black Panther, as anything, the Five Bloods, whatever he was in everything. And he was going to be in everything for the next 20 years, I'm sure. We lost him. So if you guys want to donate to the Colon Cancer Prevention Project, I've got a link on my Instagram. We can, I don't know. What can we make of this? And it never even crossed my mind, because people were talking about who's going to be Black Panther. I'm like, who the hell cares? That's not the point. None of this is the point. I know that Black Panther is my thumbnail for this episode, but it's distinctly the thumbnail for this episode because Chadwick Boseman, in the release that about his death, it said that he was most proud of bringing King T'Challa to life. So that's an important thing, and I see why. Because he represents now and forever, Wakanda forever. He represents now and forever Black Panther and the OG Black Panther and the forever, the first ever for many reasons. And he got to be a first ever as an actor. He got to break ground as a first ever as an actor in his profession. Obviously, he played a baseball player who became the first ever in theirs, and a Supreme Court justice who became the first ever in his. So he got to be, as an actor, the first ever Black Panther and the first ever to be on that level. So we thank you, Chadwick Boseman, for being so selfless and just removing any kind of attention from you as an individual and bringing all of the attention to the character and to the roles that you were playing on screen, and deferring to James Brown, deferring to Thurgood Marshall, deferring to Jackie Robinson, and having us really appreciate their legacy. Thank you. Yeah, man. We're gonna miss you. That's all, dude. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the rock biter took some gravitas away from that, but this is no time for kidding around. It's a tribute. It was a tribute episode to Chadwick Boseman, who I used to make fun of how everybody was just always using Chadwick Boseman for everything all of the time. Yeah, it's weird, Shy. It's weird just watching me do the voices. That's why I put them up on the screen so you can't see my face, because I feel self-conscious about people looking at my face while I do the voices. Because I like to get that suspension of disbelief going, so that you don't see me, that you're fully invested in the character on the screen. I kind of like to think of myself as a Chadwick Boseman. Just kidding. This is a stream of consciousness show, and sometimes you say dumb things. And that was a dumb one. But, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's awkward. Don't look at my face when I do it. I'll just do this. Yeah. I'll do it like a hand puppet. Brr, 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 brr. The characters are becoming much more defined now. They've got motivations and stuff, so you can tune in as the characters grow. Because the Rockbiter is no longer just the Rockbiter. He's the classic Rockbiter. Yeah, man. You all listen to Foghat? Man, that's some groovy stuff. How about Three Dog Night? Man, one is the loneliest number, and Obsidian is the tastiest metamorphic rock. See, they have a character now. Y'all are great, and I appreciate you. I appreciate what Chadwick. I can't say his name. That is a thing about me. Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman. We all appreciate what he has brought to the screen, and we get to. One of the great things about what he did is we get to enjoy that forever. We get to see King T'Challa forever. We get to see him on screen forever, and it's good. Yeah, we should do a watch party, Angie. That's a good idea. I'm gonna set up some watch parties on this show, and we could make fun. I'm actually gonna do a watch thing. I'm gonna try to watch Bill and Ted's tonight on my computer with my friend, and maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow. But 2 minutes left on Instagram, and I'll be hanging out for a couple more minutes on the platforms, and we'll all just hang out and we'll have a good time. We'll remember our favorite moments of Black Panther. But I was thinking about, some people are like, what are we going to do with Black Panther? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. We lost Chadwick Boseman. Black Panther is a fake character. You could do whatever you want with that. We lost a real human being, so just be aware of the things that you, I don't know. Just be aware of yourself and how you might impact others. Just be aware. Try to imagine what it's like to be someone else. Could you imagine? Chadwick Boseman got to be several different people throughout his career. He never brought the attention to himself and suffered through a horrible illness that should be eradicated, and hopefully one day we can eradicate it. But there's also a horrible illness in society that we need to eradicate and work on. So the best way we do that is we vote. Vote on November 3rd. Vote for Joe Biden, please. Vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, please. If you want to talk about why you should vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and if you're undecided, let's talk about it. And I'll tell you why, as someone who's brown in America, why it's important. And this is now is more important than ever. See you guys tomorrow on Instagram. Cool, it saved it. So yeah, make sure that you are aware of yourself, aware of the people around you. And I think that we should maybe watch Black Panther all together. I don't know, is there a way to do that, Angie, on Discord? Maybe we could just hop into Discord and all watch it together on like a private watch. If you guys want to watch private Discord watch, I think I'm going to do a thing now where if you are a Patreon member, you get to hang out in the Discord. So guys, if you join me on Patreon, Aristotle Full Throttle, on Patreon, just search patreon.com/Aristotle Full Throttle. You go there, you could support me for $1 a month, $2 a month, $150 1 month, $1,000 a month for 40 years. You could support me that way on Patreon, and then what that gives you is access to the private Discord server where we can have like private watch parties and hang out and watch stuff like Black Panther. And And, you know, I could tell you what I liked and what I didn't like about it, which is plenty. But I think that Killmonger is one of the better villains in all of Black Panther, all of the Marvel movies, because he had I didn't blame him. Killmonger, played by Michael Jordan, he was like, I call him Michael Jordan. Michael C. Jordan, Michael B. Jordan, because there's the Michael A. Jordan, and then there's Michael B. Jordan. His motivation was like, hey, I'm the rightful king of this country, or like I can be rightful king if there's no T'Challa, and I will earn the throne through fighting him, which is one of the traditions here. And once he earned the throne as the king of Wakanda, he was like, screw it, we're the most advanced country in the world, let's just take over the world like the European colonizers did, and let me just be. But we have to really take a step back and say, hey, it's kind of amazing that Black Americans and Brown Americans just want equality, because it's like, we all love this country too. We just want equality. We just want the same treatment under the law. We just want the same treatment under the systems, which is empirically not happening. It's measurably, there's a disparity. Like, you can legitimately conduct experiments over and over and over again, measurements, take measurements, and see how Black and Brown and Asian American people and all different non-white Americans are treated differently than white Americans. Just look at Kenosha. We'll talk about that more this week, but just look at Kenosha. A black man gets shot in the back 7 times by cops. 2 days later, a white kid with a freaking long gun kills 2 people, murders 2 people in the street, murders 2 people in the street. Murders. He didn't go there with a long gun. I mean, John Oliver said it last night too. He was like, look, you don't go... A kid went to a city he doesn't live in to defend property he doesn't own with a long gun and ends up murdering 2 people. He didn't go there with any other agenda in my mind. He went there to kill somebody, and he did. That's what he wanted to do. He got there because he wanted to murder somebody. I'm never like, let me go drive 20 minutes away or an hour away with a gun to protect some business that I have nothing to do with, some property that I don't own. No, that doesn't cross my mind because I'm not a murderer. I don't know what murderers think about. So this kid is a murderer. He went with a gun to go kill people, and he did, and he was successful. Yeah, you get the whole face on this side. So that guy walks away from murdering 2 people just casually with his hands in the air, and the cops are like, hey, you okay? Everything all right? You want some water? That's a little bit out of context, but you know what I mean. I'm embellishing on the story, but the dude just walked away, the cops ignored him, he drove home and was arrested the next day. Welcome to America. I haven't showed up yet today, but I just wanted to say, Aristotle, today's show was really just as dumb as every other show you've done. This is a bad show. You should just quit. I don't even understand. I get that, you know, it's really important that we talk about Chadwick Boseman and what he's left us, but I mean, yours just so, like, I can't even understand. There's so many other tributes that are way more important than this one, so you should just quit and go home. And but you are already home. You're home. You're in your home. This is really, like, man, 2020 sucks. And so does the show. Get out of here. Seth Rogen, critic of the show. Well, nobody wants Seth Rogen to critique this show. Yeah, man. That's like when Black Sabbath came out with their first albums. And did you know that Led Zeppelin had a review of their music when they were just called the New Yardbirds? The review said, "This band sounds like heavy metal falling from the sky," which turned the coins heavy metal, and why they named themselves Led Zeppelin. Man, Led Zeppelin 1 and 2, so good. 3 and 4, so good. 4 sticks, man. Stairway. Get it. Whoa. Dig it, man. I dig it. Well, guys, it's been a wonderful day. Thank you to all of you who have shown up to chat. Angie, Shy, Blurred Words, Jen the Fierce. Jen the Fierce has been editing furiously the shows. The next show that I'm going to post is the one with Shy. We're going to have the highlight reels of Shy. Thank you, Shy, for being a guest on the show. Thank you, Angie, for being a guest on the show. We're all here. Tatiana, just hanging out. Ismael, Donnie, I appreciate you. And I appreciate the legacy that Chadwick Boseman has left us. And it's a good time. It's a good time to go through his catalog and enjoy his performances. He gave us everything. He dedicated his life. And when someone does that, we get a gift. We get a gift of someone's dedication and passion and their talent. Gift us. Whoa. There's feedback. Is this thing on? I pushed a button. Don't push. I know that I've been pushing all these buttons on my show and these new buttons that come on and yeah. Don't push that button though. Don't push it more than once. Let me just try to get yeah. Hello everybody. Yeah. Chill. Have a nice day after this. Maybe you can get some Italian ice or flavor ice cream. I kind of run out of I have run out of puns, man. I don't even understand. Dylan, you son of a bitch. Hey, Dutch, what are you doing here, Dutch? Why are you dressed like that? Well, I am not Dutch anymore. I am frozen in this suit that keeps me cold. My wife, she's dying. I'm trying to find a cure for her disease. My name is Mr. Freeze. Learn it well, for it will be the harbinger of your doom. Are you going to say doom? Because I've used that word so many times. You seem like a guy who just really wants everyone to like your jokes. But your jokes are terrible. Come on, I've got some good ones. Check this one out. This is about the polar bear and its parents. He says, "Hey, Mom and Dad, I'm a polar bear. I'm a little kid polar bear, and I'm living in the Arctic." I've heard this joke before. Don't tell us this joke. And I go up to my parents and I said, "Hey, I'm a little kid polar bear. Hey, Mom, Dad, am I really a polar bear?" I've heard this joke. This is kind of a long way to go for a terrible joke. Stop now. And then my parents said, "Yes, you are. Obviously, you are a polar bear. Look at you. You're a polar bear. You're cute. You're cuddly. You're furry. We live in an igloo, just like all polar bears. You just said something that's culturally insensitive. Listen, just go with the joke, okay? All right, I'm listening. And then the next day he goes up to his parents and he says, Mom, Dad, are you polar bears? What'd they say? Yes, we are polar bears. You are a polar bear. All right. And then the third day he's like, okay then, Mom. And he goes back to his room. And the third day he says to his mom, Mom, Dad, were your parents polar bears? And he's, okay, what happened? And then, okay, I'm waiting. And then he says, Mom, Dad, were your parents polar bears? And they're like, yes, our parents are polar bears. We are polar bears. You are a polar bear. Why do you keep asking us? And the baby polar bear, he says, because I'm freezing. That's it. Because I'm freezing. That's all you have to say about that. But he's a polar bear and he's not sure why he feels cold. He's a little kid. Jokes that need explanations are not funny. But he's a little kid, polar bear. He's not sure about his identity as a polar bear because he feels cold. I get it. Guys, what are you arguing about? Oops. Wrong one. Guys, bear with me. This is going to be amazing. Why do you argue about such dumb things, man, when we can all be listening to Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti? That was like super proggy for them. Yeah, I've heard that album, Rockbiter. But let me tell you something. I can't just predict the future. I can predict the weather. And today is going to be partly cloudy. Hey guys, do you want to hear another joke? Nah, not particularly. Okay, maybe. Hey, Rockbiter. You don't need to encourage him. I got another joke for you here. Wait for it. What possibly could you tell us? What joke? This is a quick one, though. I've said it before, you know. I like to say it's one of my favorite jokes. Okay. Does it have to do with the Lovin' Spoonful or Jim Croce? I'm the classic Rockbiter. I got a joke for you guys. What did the Zen Buddhist monk say to the hot dog vendor? I've heard this one. So have I. Make me one with everything. Man, Freddie Mercury was the greatest singer in rock and roll history. But we all know James Brown was the godfather of soul. And if it wasn't for Chadwick Boseman's performance for a few years ago, he would not have been as immortalized in recent memory. And we thank Chadwick Boseman for his contribution to pop culture. I've never played anyone except for Action Jackson and Apollo Creed, and maybe the guy in from The Mandalorian. It's going to be a fingernail moon later tonight. It's going to go down to 64 degrees. This has been the Carl Weathers Report. Thank you, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle, your bro with the fro. Yo. I'll see you tomorrow.